May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Our next guest wants everyone to know it's okay not to be okay. Joining us now is Achea Redd. Milwaukee basketball fans know her and love her husband, Michael Redd, who spent the majority of his NBA career with the Bucks.
Achea has suffered from eating disorders, depression, and anxiety, and she is thriving now. Check her out. And she is on a mission to end the stigma associated with mental health care. We're so excited to have her here. She's the author of Be Free, Be You, and the founder of, get this, Real Girls F.A.R.T, which I'm so excited to talk about in a minute, just so I can say fart again on TV. Good morning to you, Achea.
Hello.
Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Doing great. So wonderful to see you and your beautiful smile.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? It's good to talk to somebody and have some human interaction here while being quarantined.
So true. You know, the books that you've written, the things that we've kind of talked about with you, you really are working so hard to end the stigma against mental health issues. How have you kind of overcome? Talk a little bit about some of the struggles that you've faced.
Well, I mean, you know, it started 4 years ago. I think I've struggled with anxiety and depression my entire life. Even as a kid, it shows up quite differently as a child and when you're an adult because life kind of evolves and happens. And so 4 years ago was when I received my initial diagnosis of generalized anxiety and depression. And I had a breakdown. And that was what caused me to get help and therapy and medication. And, you know, it was some really hard stuff and dealing with a lot of my past, you know, in therapy. And to be quite honest, you know, mental health and its journey is not linear. So I still kind of deal with those things on a regular basis.
What has helped you most in overcoming that struggle and getting to the place where you are now, where you feel better?
Truthfully, I think being able to start this platform, which, you know, you guys said it, Real Girls F.A.R.T, initially was a blog. And that was what I was doing alongside my talk therapy when I first received my diagnosis. Is I started writing about my journey and talking very openly to other women about my struggle and how I was learning so many things in therapy. And I think being able to be that beacon of hope and inspiration to other women actually helped me kind of come out of the darkness, if you will.
Yeah, don't you wish? I wish therapy was free because I wish that everybody could take advantage of it all the time and insurance fully covered it or it was just a free service at all times because, like you said, so many of the things that you experienced and learned have helped you. What are some coping mechanisms that you think work best or may work for people who are feeling isolated right now because of COVID?
Well, quite simply, this is going to sound very, very small, but I would just say you've got to be able to put yourself in a place where you're feeling all of your emotions, right? And so what that looked like for me, even at the beginning of COVID and even, you know, till now, as we're starting to slowly open things up, when I need to cry, I cry. I let myself go there. And I'm not saying that I stay there all day, but when you don't allow yourself to kind of sit in those emotions and you allow it to just kind of fester inside, that's when we start to get into trouble. So I allow myself to have a good cry and I allow myself to take a long nap.
I like that. Naps are good. I think that's
no nap shame here.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, people would be surprised. You know, I do a lot of studying with, you know, obviously mental health and, you know, talk to a lot of different, you know, psychologists, and both crying and sleeping reset the brain the same. So if you can do one of those two things or both when you're kind of having a really bad day, and they will happen, bad days do come, you will find that you will recover a lot more quickly.
That is fascinating.
Never heard that.
I love what you just said about crying and napping, resetting the brain the same way. You have such a beautiful family. And I wonder, I've shared before on this show that I have had struggles with anxiety and panic. What about as it relates to raising kids and what we teach our kids about coping and mental health and the importance of those things?
So, I mean, I love that question that you just asked because I think that the earlier that we start to have these conversations, I think that that is what is going to help lessen the stigma surrounding mental health. I think that we're doing, a good job right now, but we could do better. And I think for me, when I first got my diagnosis 4 years ago, I had no intention of hiding any of it from my kids. So I was very age appropriately vocal with them about my struggles. And I would take notice when they were having rough times, during the time that I was diagnosed, probably 2 years after the initial diagnosis for me, my son started having some struggles in school and he was bullied and it caused a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression. And so I was so thankful that I had experienced it just 2 years before him. And I had done so much research in what it looked like in kids that I was actually able to have very educated conversations with him and very vulnerable conversations with him. And I think that the more we can be honest with our children and not only try to fix it so much for them, I would suggest even don't try to fix it, but actually be more curious by asking more questions. I think that you're going to get a better response from them. So yeah, I mean, that's what I did. And I think it's been great for my family.
Good for you.
I love it. We'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about Real Girls Fart. You got to tell us just a little bit about what it is so that people can, follow along with you. I know you said it started as a blog, but what else are you doing through it?
So, like I said, initially it was a blog. And then, I joke around and I say, I went to bed a blogger and literally woke up a full-fledged entrepreneur. I mean, it literally, because of the responses and feedback that I was getting from all of the women that were reading what I was writing, I just said, okay, why not make this a thing? Like, why not? I'm going to call my business Real Girls Fart and give everybody at the bank a laugh when they see me come through and say, hey, I want to, make a deposit in this account. They're like, oh my God, this is the best business name ever. So it's very, if nothing else, it starts a great conversation. Right. And that's really what needs to happen in the mental health space anyway, is just a great start to a conversation if we can kind of open up the door. So it was a blog, and then it became like this online community to where we are actually on this community. Women are talking to each other and supporting each other when they are having challenging days with their mental health. And that's what I love the most about the platform. And so we are, encouraging each other. We are, I'm writing another book that's coming out in November that's specifically targeted towards 12 to 17-year-olds. But, that sweet spot is going to be those middle school girls, because we know that that's where mental health issues start to peak because of puberty. So I really want to get in there early. So we're just continuing the message of empowering women and allowing them to feel okay in their skin and be okay not being okay and not having to pretend and fit into this societal norm that we've been taught as women that we have to fit into.
Oh, I think you're fantastic, Achea. You said so many wonderful things. It was so great to talk to you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You'll have to join us again when your next book comes out.
I would love that.
Sounds great. We're going to share your website now. I know people are going to want to know more about the book that you've already written, what you're working on now, and your next book we'll look forward to. realgirlsfart.com. There it is. We said it. We're excited too, right, Tiff? To just say that on TV.
Love it.
All right.